Welcome back. This is a really weird setup.
Yes, it is very weird because we've got 2 cameras rolling, 2 mics, back to back to back.
This is the first time we've done it like this, and we're just trying something new because hey, why not?
This is 6 tips for beginner videographers, things that I wish I knew when I started editing.
Actually, these are things that Chris taught me when I started editing. Ding. Tip number 1 is listen to the music beyond just the beat. So if you're editing, don't just cut on the beat, and I've talked about this in a video before. Listen deeper to the music. Maybe if there's like a little hi-hat or something, cut on the hi-hat. Don't just cut on the beat because that makes a really boring edit.
You don't even have to cut on anything because I don't want people to think that that's what you have to do to edit well. If you continuously cut on something in the song, that makes a very predictable and monotonous and boring edit because it's like it's over edited, if that makes sense. Becky, I didn't teach you to listen deeper in the music. That's something you totally figured out yourself. What I did tell you was don't just always cut on a beat thinking that this is a good edit because it gets redundant and
that is what you told me.
Listen for other instruments, listen for other little elements in the song.
So tip number 2 is to say what you need to say and get to the point quickly. Don't drag out and go on forever about a topic. Just get to the point.
That's straight to the point.
That is straight to the point. Go back and then pretend you're somebody else watching your video and then think like, do I really need to keep that in? Is that just me talking for the sake of talking? Cut it out if it doesn't need to be there.
And here's a bonus tip. I almost use the first take as sort of a dry run through, and it allows me to sort of think about my thoughts, compile them, and then I'll do a second take and it will be half the time and I'll say exactly what I needed to say on the second go around. And I find that that actually is always the more efficient way to do it. It might take a full 30 seconds to get all your thoughts out, then do it all again and you can say the same thing in a quarter of the time. And it actually will save you time in post as well because you know, okay, the last take is more efficient and I'm gonna use that one take continuous through rather than trying to cut up everything in post. The whole term fix it in post, yeah, it's true, you can fix most things in post, but save yourself time, just do the take again, get it right, nail it right at the time of filming, and you'll save yourself time editing later.
Okay, so we need to take our own advice and move on to tip number 3.
Tip number 3, be cognizant of how much pre-roll and post-roll you have on your clips when you're editing. I find a lot of beginner editors, they just don't have a good idea or a sense of what flows well in an edit, and there's a lot of excess clip at the beginning and at the end of clips. Just tighten everything up.
Tightening up your edit is the difference between an engaged audience and then an audience that's just gonna close the window.
Again, we're sort of editing for YouTube where your attention span is ultra short because it's, social media. And a lot of people do criticize us saying, oh, you should have held in that shot for longer. We actually prefer to keep it tight, but it's gonna be just in your face edit. That's just kind of our style.
Tip number 4 is make sure your audio is intelligible. Beginner editors make the mistake of having your music track too loud for your talking track. So make sure that you adjust your audio so you can understand what the person is saying in the video. So for example, my music is too high in this clip and you can't really understand what I'm saying and it's really distracting and that's annoying. So turn the music track down a little bit, adjust your audio level so that you can hear what the person is saying and that's gonna improve your video.
Yeah, something else you can do is you can scoop out on the EQ where the voices will reside and you can just dip out that a little bit on your music track and that can actually make your speech a bit more intelligible. There's probably tutorials you can Google how to do that. Another thing I find too is make sure that you record the audio well right from the get-go. So get the mic as close as possible to the subject. I know it's hard because a lot of this is run and gun with camera mics on top of the camera, but if you can, get the mic as close as possible, even off the camera if you can.
The easiest way to make a scoop in your audio track is to just make points on your audio level and then take the 2 center points, drag them down, and that just kind of lowers the level of the music where you're talking. So that kind of makes it a little bit easier for you to edit.
Well, it's called ducking. Some purists don't like to duck the music track. They think it should be mixed properly, but anyway.
For sake of time,
just duck the audio.
Just duck it. Just duck it.
Okay? Oh, duck it, okay?
Just duck it,
Look,
okay?
duck it.
Listen, just duck it, okay? Do you listen to what I say?
Next tip.
Do you listen to me?
Next tip.
You listen?
Next tip.
You listen?
Next tip.
Would you look at that?
Next tip.
All right, tip number 5. Your video should have a purpose or tell a story. You don't have to go into this crazy in-depth epic story of, I don't know, some battle or some crazy shit that happened. Figure out what the purpose is. This video is to give you 5 tips on how to improve your editing if you're a beginner.
6 tips.
6 tips, sorry. This video is about tips on how to improve your editing so that video has a purpose. We're not necessarily telling a story, but we're adding value in some way. So make sure that your video has a purpose, it adds value, or it tells a story.
A lot of people on YouTube, and us included, we fall in the trap of, okay, let's film everything, and then we'll chop it up later and try to make a coherent statement of some sort. And that can work, but you're using a lot of time in post trying to assemble a story afterwards, rather than thinking about, okay, I know loosely how my day's gonna go, I know loosely what I wanna get across to the viewer, let's strategically shoot, and I can then shoot half the amount of footage and it'll take me half the time to edit it.
It's okay to write down a loose outline in your phone or in a notebook, you know, maybe a rough shot list, some talking points, things like that, just to kind of get your head together and figure out what your video is about before you actually start shooting. Tip number 6, literally we've talked about this in so many videos, is practice makes progress. You guys should be actively engaging in process analysis. Watch videos, but don't just watch the videos for entertainment's sake. Break down the videos. What are the shots like? What are they doing? What are the transitions? What are the camera angles? So analyze other people's videos and then analyze your own videos as well. And look at them, analyze it, break it down, figure out what is wrong, and then fix it on the next one and keep creating and just keep that process over and over again. You should be looking at your work with an analytical eye. So go back, look at it, figure out what needs to be fixed, post it, and then fix it on the next one. Don't ever let that kind of workflow prevent you from posting. If it's not perfect, it's fine. Just fix it on the next one.
You kind of touched on the process analysis, you know, Six Sigma, whatever you want to call it. Create the video, assess the video, figure out, analyze it, figure out what's wrong with it, implement a change, and then do it again on the next one. Just continually always trying to improve and push forward. And I think that's a key that a lot of people don't really actively partake in. They just make the videos and that's that. That applies to anything. If you want to improve, you have to constantly be making this a learning process. Be your own worst critic.
Yeah, it takes time to develop your eye, but the more you analyze other people's work and figure out why their edits work, the quicker your eye will be able to determine what is wrong in your video.
Consume a lot of content and figure out what makes something work. Look at your work and say, why doesn't my work work? And then implement a change to make it happen.
Those are our 6 tips for beginner video editors. I hope you guys found this helpful and useful going into your next video shoot or your next vlog or your next tutorial or whatever you're doing. Hope you found this helpful.
Was having 2 camera angles as confusing as it was for you as it was for me because I kept wanting to look at Becky?
I feel like it kind of worked. Like it was kind of fun to do this. Like sometimes it's hard for you and I to like sit next to each other and you're like, excuse me, miss.
So I never know where to look whenever I'm sitting next to you. I always just kind of default to like somewhere halfway between the camera and halfway towards you.
I kind of just like stare off into space sometimes. We'll see if it works. Let us know.
It's a new setup. Yeah, it's a new setup. We
Yeah.
may never do it again, or this may be something we enjoy. But what we're gonna do is we're going to see how it works, analyze it, implement, improve upon it, and then implement it if it's something that we like.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments below if it was too weird and confusing or if you liked it, because this is kind of a new thing. We're trying some new stuff.
So should we do a split screen?
Yeah, we should do a split screen. Ready? 3, 2,
2,
1. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified when we post new videos. We'll see you on the next one. Bye. That was so confusing.
That was very confusing.
Because I was like, wait, what's our outro?
You forgot our outro?
I was like, wait, what is
It means you need to practice more.
Okay, do you know what kind of video we're making?
What are we making? We've got 2 cameras, one facing me and then the other one facing directly behind me Becky.
Let me real quick just like show what's happening here. So we have camera.
Behind the scenes view.
Yeah, this is kind of what's happening right here.
And it's very distracting because Becky is right there and I just tend to want to look at her.
I know, I just want to look at you too.
We're in love.